Woo! Woo! Where are we going? Hey! What is happening? Look, I vape. I vote. Welcome to your Vape at 5. I am your host. You guys know who I am. I'm the BlackCat. Today we have, this week, ooh, it's been kind of crazy. This has been a pretty crazy week. We've had some interesting things happening in the vaping community. And we're going to talk about one of those things that happened this week in a state, one of the original 13 colonies, one of the original colonies, the home that men like John Adams Jr., both presidents, patriots of this country, rose against tyranny, rose against the British, back in the day. They fought. They won our independence. They realized that the British were down. They had a huge war. They realized that this is a perfect time for us to succeed from the British Empire, become our own nation. Well, they did it. They did it. God bless them. They did it. Well, that thought process has not equated to the current state legislature in the great state of Massachusetts. For those of you who have not been around, for those of you who may have missed it, the state of Massachusetts yesterday passed a law that it will be, you are not allowed to have flavored e-liquid in the state of Massachusetts. If you are caught with flavored e-liquid, you will be charged $5,000. If you're caught a second time, you'll be charged, and you'll have to pay a $25,000 fine. If you're caught with any vaping equipment, you do not have a receipt of purchase. What? You don't have a receipt of purchase, they can also charge you $5,000 or $25,000. How in the world is everybody doing? I hope nobody watching is from Massachusetts. I feel sorry for you. So sorry for you. I don't even know how to explain. So that is what happened in the state Senate yesterday in the state of Massachusetts. It passed. It passed by an overwhelming margin. It wasn't even close. It was I don't know. It was we got maybe 15% of the vote against not doing that. And, at first, when you hear something of that nature, you hear something so outrageous that it just does not seem to be, that it could even possibly be true. And then you realize that, no, this is really what's going on. You have to ask yourself why. Why is this happening? Why in the world, in a state that is known for independence, right? A state where the Liberty Bell's there. And Liberty Bell there, and rang-a-dang-dang that thing with the British Paul Revere. A state, where patriotism and everything just rings through the halls. Their state senate, state legislature. Why would they take away adults' rights to smoking cessation? And I don't know. I really don't. I think it's a combination of things. And I think that none of them, you want to think to yourself that they're doing it to protect kids. And of course, they're going to be virtuous. And anytime anybody makes a law that is completely impeding on your rights, they're going to try to sound virtuous by doing it. Whether that law is something to do with your personal security or something like that, or if it's a law banning you from using a product that is helping you to quit smoking, which I never ever thought in life that someone could, I'm from a generation that you don't ban things. And I think I've told you guys this before. People who ban things when I was growing up was a fucking wacko. You don't ban things. That's just not, it's not something that we can process that you're going to do. So, Liberty Bell is in Philadelphia, says Frank. Well, goddamn, it should be. It should be. Massachusetts? Probably not. I'm glad it's there. They rescued it from Massachusetts, then probably. There's a couple things to talk about here. I could sit here all day and tell you why they shouldn't have done it and things like that, but that's already stuff that you already know. I think boiling it down and telling you some other interesting facts that happened yesterday with this entire ban, I think is really the meat of it here. And I think it's really, really the fun part and the stuff that like I hear and I get giddy because it makes me laugh. And what you have right now is you have a group of multiple nonprofit lobbyist groups, the American Heart Association, American Lung Association, the Parents Against Vaping E-Cigarettes. You have just a lot of tobacco-free kids, and they are all on a mission to shut down vaping. And they're all under the pretense that they are trying to save kids. And I understand wanting to protect children. I don't think anybody in their right mind would ever say that they were against protecting children, your children, somebody else's children, something of that nature. At the same time, my number one, well, there's a couple of different things that make me think about this. One, it is not the government's responsibility to raise your kids. It is not their responsibility to protect your children. It is not their responsibility to raise your children. That is your responsibility as a parent. Trying to minimize the failures we have as parents, which we all have. None of us are perfect. There's no guide on how to raise kids. Like, they don't give you instructions when they come out. Like, we all make mistakes. That's just the way it is. Something you accept as a parent. And I think having the self-awareness and having the introspect that you can look, at yourself and say, wow, I really fucked that up. I think that's part of a learning process with kids. And, every kid will say, well, every kid will say your parents fucked you up a little bit with something. And that's just, that's the unfortunate part of being a parent. And that's just the way it is. But the last thing you want to do is start blaming everybody else for the failures that you have as a parent and the failures that your children have. Blaming an entire industry for a bad decision that your child makes is really not helping anybody. And it certainly is not helping your child. My opinion, obviously. Protecting your children is a really, really important thing. Now, what can you do to protect your children from e-cigarettes? What did I do? None of my kids smoke. None of my kids vape. I smoked and I vaped and I drank and I still vape and I don't drink and I don't smoke anymore, but I still vape, and none of my kids do. And I think that the biggest thing that Veronica and I always did was we just talked to them about it. And we also were very against them doing it. And we tried to explain to them. Now, at the same time, my best friend and Veronica's father died of lung illnesses directly related to cigarettes. So we also had that where we could say, look at these examples of what happens. The last thing that we did was when we caught our daughter with a pack of Marlboro Lights was blame RJ Reynolds. It wasn't RJ Reynolds' fault that she had a pack of cigarettes. It was her decision, and ultimately it was our decision to not do something or to not parent her correctly in that and keep her away from that. We accepted the responsibility of that, and we resolved it. That is what you have to do as a parent. And I think it's really weak to blame a entity or a company for your failure of being able to parent your children. So I'll just put that out there. State of Massachusetts yesterday, as I previously mentioned, they have banned all flavored e-liquid. They have put all these ridiculous life-changing type fines. $5,000 is a life-changing fine. It really is. And $25,000 is beyond life-changing. That's ridiculous. On possession of e-cigarettes or possession of vaping equipment. One thing that was very interesting yesterday, and they broadcast the entire, and maybe they do this for everything, but they broadcast the entire session yesterday to go over this bill in the state Senate. One of the state senators stood up during this, and he was all for the ban. And he said, you know what? I want to protect children. And he said, we have all this money coming in from the tobacco MSA. So we roughly, Massachusetts last year made, I have it written down here, they made $236 million last year from the tobacco MSA. And he said, you know what? This money was originally intended to go to prevention programs and to go to educational programs for teens to prevent smoking. We haven't been using it. We haven't been using it for that. And we really should put a stipulation in this bill that we're going to use. He thought something easy like 10%. We'll use 10% of that money to educate teens and to prevent teens from smoking. And he went on and on about how we could do that and what would be part of that. And they went to another senator, his name's like John Keenan, and he's really the one who kind of really championed this thing through. He really wanted to protect kids, but he said that we don't need to do that. We don't need to use that money for what it was intended to do. What we need to do, we have plenty of smoking cessation programs, more than they need in this state. We don't need to give them any more help to stop smoking. There's about 1 million people in the state of Massachusetts smoke. About 1 million people. I worked out the numbers today. It's about 1 million people, but they don't need any help getting people to stop smoking in their state because, hey, we have enough programs to do that, and we don't need to do that. So they voted down part of the bill. They passed the bill to ban e-liquid, but they voted down the part of the bill that would have guaranteed 10% to go of the MSA money to go to teen education and to teen prevention. Now, ask yourself, does that make any sense that they want to protect children, yet when they're asked to put money forward to do that for the intended purpose of that money, they turn it down? What does that tell you? And I think that ultimately is the telltale of what exactly this was about. The state of Massachusetts in 2014 made $282 million from the tobacco MSA. What's up, Waylon? He's pissed too. I'm pissed. I was livid yesterday. Livid. Like, I can't understand. It's so it's so ridiculous. It's appalling to me. It is a failure of government. It is a failure of the people of the state of Massachusetts, and people of the state of Massachusetts should be fucking pissed. Whether you vape or not, it doesn't matter. And the problem is that they have literally changed the minds of the people of Massachusetts that vaping is terrible and it's going to kill you. One hit is going to kill you. They've used so many lies over and over and over again that they're starting to believe, that the public is starting to believe it now. Not so much, because one of their news stations ran a poll yesterday asking if they should have banned flavored e-liquid, and it lost like 80% of people said no, you shouldn't. So 20% of the people. They made $282 million in 2014. $282 million off the tobacco MSA. This last year they made $236 million. That's a delta of almost $50 million. Where did that $50 million go? That $50 million is because of the rise of vaping in those last 4 years. 4.5 years. $50 million difference. Now, what would you do for $50 million? Right? What would you do for $50 million? Well, I'll tell you what the state of Massachusetts did. The state of Massachusetts tries to, is basically, without coming right out and saying they're eliminating e-cigarettes. They're eliminating it from the market, and the only ones that will be able to compete there are going to be the big ones. IQS or whatever the bullshit that Philip Morris is putting out, and then of course Juul and a couple of the big ones. Blue, they'll be able to compete there, but they're from the tobacco companies, and I'm assuming that money will somehow go back into the MSA. Good point. So tomorrow we have a little bit of a shining thing here. Is some of people from the tobacco industry, or excuse me, from the vaping industry, are going to meet with the president tomorrow. So that's really, really exciting. I have no idea who it is, but there are some people that are going to meet. I hope it's the right people. I hope it's not Juul and all them, but it very well could be. I don't know. Some people tomorrow are meeting with the president to talk about the crisis or the epidemic of teen vaping in our country right now, and hopefully they can sort something out and be able to at least tell him, what exactly is going on. I mean, I would hope that they can at least have some voice of reason to tell them that, people aren't dying from nicotine vaping, as he originally thought with that meeting with Azir back on the September 11th, that people were dying from vaping e-cigarettes. It's not what's happening. I've been really, and I keep telling you guys, I'm always on Twitter doing this stuff, and to see the despair of the residents of Massachusetts now, that just like there's like a 76-year-old grandmother on there like, yeah, I quit smoking. I smoked for 50 years and I quit, and I've been vaping now and I feel so much better and I can breathe better, but what am I going to do? And it's like, I don't know what you're going to do. You're 76 years old. A lot of people are like, well, I'll just drive to New Hampshire. You shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to go to another state to use something as a basic right. That's another part of it, and that's something I mentioned the other day. You have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is part of the American Constitution. Life is the first one on that, and basically life to a lot of us is not smoking, right? So how can you take that away? And it's almost unimaginable to me, because I've always been under, and I've said this over and over, I've always been a really proud American. Like, I think that we do things right, and I think people, have the best intentions. I don't think that anymore, and it's sad. It's like it's really kind of fucked me up, because the America that I thought we were is not the America we are. These organizations, these health organizations that are supposed to be protecting us, they're not. They're lobbyists. That's all they are. They're not looking to protect they're looking to protect their own interest. And it's sad. It's really sad. Like, the game is not to sound like, I'm trying not to be a Debbie Downer here, but that's what I see. Is the game's rigged. It is stacked against us. So what can you do if you're in the state of Massachusetts? Well, I'll tell you, the one thing you don't want to do is be quiet. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to keep fighting. Everybody has to keep fighting. The tide will turn one day. They're doing everything they possibly can to get negative information out about us. Everything they possibly can. But the tide soon will turn, and I promise you that, because once somebody knows the truth, then it is impossible to go back. And there's going to be people that don't want to be convinced. There's 50 mil, I'll suck a donkey dick on the 50-yard line of the Super Bowl. For what? 50 mil? The 50 mil is a lot of money. New Wave Dave, 50 mil is a lot of money, brother. Yeah, you probably, I don't know if I'd suck a dick. Well, probably. I probably would. For 50 million, yeah, probably. Nurse, I think that, Greg Conley is going. I did not get confirmation that he was going, but if he is, that's fantastic. I really, really hope he is. So, anyway, this is going to be a conversation. That was just my 20-minute rant I had to do. You know me. As I'm driving home, I'm just getting, and I'm not somebody who gets all angry and flies off the handle on stuff like this. Like, that's not my personality. That's not the person I want to present. That's not the person that I want to be. But I can't express to you in words how angry I am at this whole thing. It's just beyond my comprehension. It really is. And it's like, I just want to go around slapping people. I really do. And I'm not a physical person. I'm not like somebody who wants to be physically aggressive with anybody. I just want to slap people in the fucking head and be like, what is wrong with you? What would make you do this? And I thought about this today. I would love to get I wish I had a ton of money. I really do. I wish I had of course we all wish we had I wish I had that 50 million. Because if I did, I would give state senators and congressmen like Dick Durbin, I'd give them $1 million to take a lie detector test. But here's $1 million. You take a lie detector test. I get to record the results and broadcast you doing it. And I could ask you questions like, do you really think nicotine is killing people? And you're like, yes. I'm like, that's a lie. That's a fucking lie, Dick. Stop lying, Dick. I really would. I would like to get them on a lie detector test and make them tell me lies and then be like, no, look at this. That's a lie. That's a fucking lie right there. Are you doing this because of money? No. Yes, you are. Well, that's a lie. I can see it right here. I really do. I really would like to do that. Government on Massachusetts is MassGov, MassGov, but there's all kinds of different ones. Yeah, I've been tweeting at him. And then there's this guy, Senator John Keenan. That's the guy you got to go after. He's the one who basically said we don't need to do the MSA, 10% of the MSA. That's that guy. So that's a guy you definitely want to go after. You know, and if they can ban, that's the thing. This banning thing this was not commonplace 20 years ago. It really wasn't. It's only thinking of banning cigarettes. It's like, you can't ban cigarettes. Like that would be laughed off the table. But, you know, it's not like that anymore. We have this, these certain politicians that are really think the government should control everything you do. Right? And the funny thing is, I looked at other stats in Massachusetts. I looked at their obesity stat. Their obesity stat has doubled in the last 3 years. Doubled. And obesity kills as many people as smoking does. And it's doubled. And there's nothing going on about that. There's no programs to help obese people or I don't know, any kind of live right programs that I could find. So telling me that you're it's all about protecting, child obesity has doubled in the last 3 years. The number of deaths from prescription medication has doubled in 4 years. 4 years, it's doubled, right? But the funny thing is, that, and that's outrageous, right? But that kills about 2,000 people a year. Opioid overdoses in the state of Massachusetts, about 2,000. Dude, you know how many people die from cigarettes every year in Massachusetts? It's like hundreds of thousands of people, right? From cigarettes. And you're going to ban a safer alternative to that? Could you imagine if they found something that was an opiate replacement besides methadone or something of that nature that was less stressful on your body and that you could take and get off of opiate? How they would praise that? And it kills 2,000. Smoking kills hundreds of thousands of people in the state of Massachusetts. Hundreds of thousands. Yeah, a year. It's impossible to wrap your head around. It really, really is. Actually, it's not hundreds of thousands, but it's tens of thousands. Yeah, hundreds of thousands. How many killed in the United States per year? It's 500,000, and secondhand smoke included. It's 540,000, but it's tens of thousands of people. So it's 5 times as many that cigarettes kill. I sometimes I go off the stats a little bit. I just kind of make stuff up, but I'm not making that up. What are you doing, Waylon? So, all right, why don't we go through and we'll say hi to everybody. Get a little bit more cheerful. You want to do that? Get a little cheerful. Want to say hi to Waylon? He's right here. Say hi, Waylon. Hi. He's pissed. He's as pissed as me. Here, sit on my lap. Quit being a weirdo. All right, let's run through and say hi to everybody. I don't have many people listed here. Nobody must be chatting. Big Red Vapor Chan. What's up, Big Red? How you doing, man? Good to see you, brother. Glad you're here. BlackCat Whiteface. That's me. I'm raging mad. Colt's mom. What's up, Colt's mom? How you doing, hon? Good to see you. I hope Colt is well. How's Colt doing, Colt's mom? Is Colt doing well? I hope he's doing well. Good to see you. I like moms. I'm a fan of moms. Colt's mom. I'm a fan of them. Multiple reasons. We can talk about that later. What, Bull? What's up, Bull? How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Glad you are here. There's Waylon. James West, what's up, James? How you doing, man? Great to see you, sir. Glad you are here. Mr. Jane Dodd. What's up, Jane Dodd? How you doing, honey? Loving my life. Good to see you. Joshua Apathy Miller. What's up, Joshua? Good to see you, brother. Glad you are here. Lime Dog Chris. What's up, Chris? How you doing, brother? Great to see you. New Wave Dave throwing up a 5 spot. Thanks for that 5 spot, man. Appreciate that, dude. That's awesome. Thank you. Sick Boy. What's up, Sick Boy? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a minute. Glad you're here, brother. Thanks for joining us. Steven Aiken for Bacon. What's up, Steven? How you doing, man? Great to see you. Glad you are here. Mr. Tony Jenkins. What's up, Tony? How you doing, brother? Great to see you, sir. Super duper glad you are here. You joined us today. Vapor Swaggins. What's up, Swags? How you doing, brother? Great to see you, man. Hope things are well. I know Swaggins is just as upset as I am about this whole thing. Absolutely insane. Good to see you, Swag. Glad you're here. Wire Talk with Big G. What's up, Big G? How you doing, man? Great to see you, sir. Glad you're here. And Tommy DeZombie. What's up, Tommy? Good to see you, man. Glad you are here. Let's see who's back in here. Did I miss anybody? Big Red, Colt's mom, New Wave Dave, Tony Jenkins. Don't see anybody else. Phil Lee. What's up, Phil? So, I am headed to New Jersey tomorrow. So there'll be no vape hot tub tomorrow, but We are preparing for a really good show next week. So next Friday should be a really, really good show. Monday, we're back, and I think I have 2 more featured builders for the year. 2 more. Who is next? So this week we had, let me grab my list. So this week we had Zenith. Next week is Crazy Coils 1200. Got that guy next. And then Bassmaster Cube is our final feature builder of the year. Vivitrol, but the insurance companies don't like to approve it because drug companies don't advertise it much. Yeah, I believe that. Hey, James Capozzi, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Dustin Vapor, good to see you, brother. Thanks for joining. Every time you see Holy Fiber, it's, yeah, sung by Dio in your head. I agree. Holy Fiber. That's, yeah. So, Frank, I lived in northern Jersey. I didn't live in southern Jersey. Yeah, I was in Maplewood, New Jersey, northern part. But we're heading to Mount Laurel. That's where my wife and my ex-wife, thank God she's not my wife, my daughter live now. My daughter's in a play. Yeah, she's in it's Frozen, the play. I think it's Frozen. Is it Frozen? I think so. Anyway, she's in a play. It's a big deal. It's a big production. So we're going to go see that. I think she plays a tree. I think she's a tree. She might be a tree or a bush. One of those two. She didn't get a good part. She got mad as hell. She called him. I called her. She's pissed. Like my daughter doesn't get like normal mad. Like a kid gets mad and starts crying. My daughter doesn't get normal. She gets like mad, like real mad, like adult mad. Yeah. Tell you a funny story. Okay, here's a story. It's story time. I'll tell you a story of my daughter. So my ex calls me the other day. And she's like, this was on Halloween. She calls me and she's like, hey, I need to talk to you. Can you talk for a minute? I'm like, yeah. So she's like, Maddie got in trouble today at school. Really bad trouble. And I'm like, what? Maddie? She's like, yeah. It's like, well, what happened? She's like, well, she was for Halloween, she was Cleopatra. And her hair's like brown. So they dyed her hair black. And they put all this hairspray and stuff in it. And so when she left, Sandy, my ex, told her, you can't let anybody touch your hair, Maddie. You have to make sure that you don't let anybody touch your hair while you're at school today because it's going to mess it up. There's so much hairspray in it and all, whatever they put in your hair. So Maddie says, okay, Mom, I'll make sure nobody touches it while she goes to school. And apparently there's a girl at school who's a bully. And the bully, she's like kind of known as a bully. And she like picks on people and says mean things to people and does mean things to people. That's how it was explained to me, this little girl. And you know how kids are. Kids are mean. And that's just the way it is. Well, Maddie told all her friends that nobody can touch my hair today. Look, don't touch my hair because if you do, it's going to mess it up and it'll ruin my costume. I'm Cleopatra. You can't ruin the Cleopatra costume, which is pretty obvious, right? Well, the girl did not like that, and she touched Maddie's hair. And when she touched Maddie's hair, she like put her hand in her hair and like rubbed it. Well, Maddie did not take to that well, and basically pushed her on the ground, jumped on top of her, and started beating her ass. And she's like 8 years old. So she calls me and she's like, well, she gives me the whole story about this girl. And she's like, well, and then, she put her hand in Maddie's hair. And I was like, did Maddie kick her ass? She's like, well, yeah. She attacked her. She attacked her is the word she used. I was like, that's fucking awesome. Threw her on the ground, jumped on top of her, and started beating her up. And I was like, look. I was like, that's fucking awesome. I was like, you're not mad at her, are you? She's like, well, yeah. You can't do that to people. You can't. I was like, goddamn right you can. I was like, she goes fucking, dude, that girl, I tell you what, that girl will never pick on her again. She's like, well, yeah, you're probably right about that, but you need to talk about it. Talk? Like, talking doesn't work. What was she? Don't do that. You made me really, really mad. Don't ever do that again. She's going to do it the next day. Punch her in the face. Punch her as hard as you can in the face. She will never do it again. Well, we disagreed on that. But I was very, very proud of my daughter for standing up for herself and doing that. I thought it was fantastic. But she gets crazy, though. I've seen her get crazy. She gets like really angry, which I don't know where she gets that from. She doesn't get it from me. I think she gets it from my ex. My ex is nuts. She's nuts. Literally. Kids can be cruel. Yeah, like when I was a kid, like I remember that. I remember having that conversation with my dad. Like I got like at school, some kid like picked on me and stuff like that. My dad's like, "You're gonna beat his ass." It's like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, beat his ass." I was like, I don't think I can. He's like, "I bet you can." He's like, "You hit him one time, he won't want to fight you anymore." It's like, okay, so I went to school and I did exactly what I said. I just punched him as hard as I could. I think I hit him like in the neck or the shoulder, and the guy never picked on me again. One time. That's all it took. I don't remember if I got in trouble. I probably got in trouble. I don't even remember, but I just remember I didn't get picked on by the kid anymore. And it was like traumatic. Like I didn't like being picked on. Yeah. That's all you gotta do. Punch them one time. They won't fuck with you anymore. Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's for high five Maddie, says Patrick King. I agree. I was like, it is, you know, as an adult, you should be able to rationalize and stay calm. Like there's always guys who jump the gun, like want to fight immediately. It's like those guys are fucking assholes. But you know, like so you want to try to like talk and be like, look, this is what I do. But ultimately, it gets to a point, especially if somebody's just fucking with you for no reason, over and over and over again, they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop because you're letting them do it until you fucking stand up to them and do something. Sometimes you can do it with your words if you're crafty and you can say something really funny and fuck them up. But a lot of times you're going to have to fucking do something. And especially as a kid, I was like, I'm fucking so proud of her for doing it. 'Cause she's not big. She's small for her age. She's not tiny, but she is a small child. She's a small girl. So she's not one of the bigger girls, so it's like easy to pick on her because she's smaller, right? And yeah, I was so proud of her for doing that. I was like, I just remember I was like, well, told Veronica, I got the phone with her, and Veronica like overheard the conversation. Veronica's like, I'd have beat that little girl's ass. Fuck that little girl. I'm like, well, it's not that serious, Veronica. Veronica's like really tough. Like she doesn't take shit from nobody, as you guys probably know. And so like she's like, I'm glad. I was like, me too. Like, that's fantastic. I'm so proud of her for doing that, but I can't say it because, of course, you know, my ex would be like all pissed off. I think I'm going to say something this weekend. I'm going to be like, yeah, I heard you beat somebody up. I'm like really proud of you. Good job. Yeah, dotted him in the eye. Problem solved. Yeah, you know, Phil, and the thing about it is with school, this is the thing, Phil, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, because our son Leighton got in a fight, and we moved Leighton to a new school when he was a sophomore in high school, and we did that. We had to move because at the time my mother was sick, and we needed to move closer to her in order to help take care of her. So we had to move, and I hate doing that to a kid. I hate moving, and I know it was tough on him. Well, he went to school, and when you're a new kid at a school, and you know he's a good-looking kid, and he had long hair, and kids started picking on him, you know, because he's just like all the girls liked him, and you know that's how kids are. Like, oh well, you think you're, you know, whatever, and he, you know, Leighton doesn't take shit from people. He's like his mom. He doesn't take shit. And some kid, like, he didn't say nothing back to him. The kid kept picking with him, fucking with him. He came home one day and he's like, you know, this kid says shit to me, and like I don't say anything back to him, and I just let it go because he's with all his buddies. And he said, you know, but I was like, well, Leighton, I said, you know, the only way it's going to stop is if you do something. He's like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't want to get kicked out and things like that. So he's like kind of rational about it. And then I said, and his mom's like, no. He puts his fucking hand on you. You beat his ass, Leighton. And like maybe less than a week later, it's like the next week, we got a call and they're like, yeah, you got to come get him. And my point of this story is, Phil, that, you know, we told him to do that. And the kid started it with him, physically pushed him or did something to him first, physically. And Leighton responded to it and just whooped the kid's ass. And Leighton's not a pussy. He's a tough kid. He whooped the kid's ass. And like everybody's almost like, oh, shit. You know, kids are like, oh, no, did you see Leighton kick that kid's ass? And the kid like ran away. But when, you know, Leighton got in the same amount of trouble that this kid did, even though he didn't instigate it. And that's kind of the way schools handle it now. And this is weak. It's absolutely weak. It teaches kids the wrong lesson. Absolutely the wrong lesson, that you are not to defend yourself physically if you are presented with a physical altercation. And I'll tell you what, that's a good way to get killed. It really is. You let somebody just beat on you, you can't do that. You got to fight back. Some kids, instead of dealing with the bullies in a reasonable manner, like you described, they move to a more aggressive violence. And I think that Tony and I agree. is there's kids who get picked on, but there are some, and I think when you mention, you're talking about like school shootings and things of that nature. Yeah, nobody wants that kid who's isolated, who can't process it, who just snaps. You know what I mean? And in that respect, violence is never, ever right. And I don't know, man. I don't know what the solution to that is. I don't know if there is a solution to it. It's just going to keep happening, I'm afraid. Unfortunately, it's a fucking crazy thing. Smoke him if you got him is my supervisor advice. You like that? Smoke him if you got him in Massachusetts, man. I feel sorry for the million smokers in Massachusetts. I do. Because, the ones that vape now, they're going to continue, if they have any sort of connection into our community, which I hope they do, they're going to continue to get what they need in order to continue to vape. Because the rest of us in our community are not going to let them go without. The problem is for the smokers who haven't switched. The problem is the smokers that haven't switched. You've just condemned 1 million people to death in that state by doing that. You're not giving them any other option. And would all of them switch to vaping? Probably not. But you know what? What if 10% would have? That's 100,000 people in one state that could have found a life-saving alternative. It's a lot of people. And say 5%. That's 50,000 people, 50,000 smokers. The other part of that is the young people growing up now don't have the alternative of vaping instead of smoking. We all know, we all picked it up when we were younger. That's where we all started smoking, is when we were younger. Kids are going to continue to do that, and now they're just going to pick up cigarettes instead of vaping. Right, Colt's mom. They're going to go out of state. And people are going to help them. And the people who are vaping now are going to continue to get their flavors and things like that. But I'll tell you, keep receipts. Find receipts for things that you bought and just keep them and be like, yeah, this is that. Because if they really do enforce that law, I really can't see law enforcement enforcing that law. I really don't. I think ultimately what it'll do is shut down businesses, is ultimately, because they're not really going to go around and stop and frisk people for vaping stuff. I mean, pull you over, just put in your console. They're not going to be looking for it. You know what I mean? Come on. Funny thing is, if you blow smoke outside your window, like, oh, Swags is in Massachusetts, so I forgot that. Yeah, Swags is in Massachusetts. Can you make... She got deleted. Nurse got deleted? Why'd she get deleted? Yeah, she comes back. I will. No problem. Learning how to defend yourself through martial arts. Yeah, what's funny is the last time I went to Massachusetts, I was thinking about this today. When was the last time I was in Massachusetts? I went to Boston for a Taekwondo tournament. Believe it or not, I was in Taekwondo. I was actually pretty good. And I was in a tournament there. And I was kicking people in the face. And I thought I'd like to go back there and kick some more people in the face. So I thought today, I was like, wow, last time I was in Boston I was in a Taekwondo tournament. And, I was kicking people in the face. And I was like, wow, I'd really like to go back there and kick some more people in the face. But I probably ended up in jail this time. Vaping task force. Talk about a waste of money. If that happens, I don't know what to say. I really don't. That is the most unfucking believable thing I'd ever heard in my life. They make a real task force of police officers and force them to do that. Could you imagine if you were like, that would have to be the worst of the worst in your police department. That would have to be the guys that nobody wants. Like literally, like you're going to be on the vaping task force. Be like, what? Vaping task force? I'm solving murders. Like I just solved an arson and you're going to put me on the vaping task force? Like, you know how mad you would be? That's worse than being a meter maid. That's worse than being a meter maid. Is being on the vaping task force. You're a dick. You're a dickhead. Like, I'm sorry. If you're on the vaping task force, you're a dick. Straight up. And I respect law enforcement. I do. To an extent. But you're a dickhead if you're on the vaping task force. Yeah, and that's the thing, James. Of course they do. Of course, like a police officer is like, really? Like, I have enough to worry about. Like, you know how much crime there is in the state of Massachusetts? There's a lot of crime. And you're going to tell me that I have to... It's like, it's higher than the national average. Their murder rate is higher than the national average by like 2 points. And you're going to make me like go and bust vaping people when there's people being murdered violently? Like, come on. I will get arrested. Yes, you may. We'll bail you out, Colt's mom. Yep. Somebody deleted. Nurse, somebody deleted you? All right, I'll make you a mod. There you go, on. Now nobody can delete you. Shit, I was chucking tits all the way home from work. Good for you, Swags. Well, it doesn't go into effect till tomorrow. Well, I don't know. Did he sign it? Did what's his name? What's your governor's name? Richie? Something funny like that. What's his name? Like Johnny Walker? Some fucking dumbass name. Charlie Baker. That's your fucking governor. Vote that motherfucker out. That's the only way it's going to change, is voting these people out. That is it. They have to know that we have enough people to vote them out. More like an ingrown pube. No, Wendy, not taxes, but there's a law. The law. If you get caught, Wendy, in that state, it's like a $5,000 fine. So I mean, it's not so much a law. It's a fine. I don't think the 70% tax is on the product when you buy it. And the only place you're going to be able to buy it is convenience stores. You'll be able to get like a Jewel or Views or the what's the big ones? The Blue. I always look in convenience stores when I go in there and see which ones they have. I just curiously look, and it's always Jewel and Blue. But then you got the IQQS. Is that what it is? IQs? The fucking cigarette that you burn or you heat, not smoke, not burn. What's up, Frankie? Windgrown pube. I like that. Did I just freeze? What's up, Shane Smith? Yeah, I've been noticing that. I don't know if it's I've been noticing my software free. I tell you, I got what is this? The streaming software I use. I forget what it's called. Hold on, let me hover over it and see what it's called. I don't really like it. Let's see here. XSplit. I've been using XSplit. I don't like it. I kind of like OBS better. XSplit I don't really like. I'll tell you, Baker's a fake Republican. No clue I got elected. Putt putt. What's up, putt putt? Yeah. Any Republican or conservative that is for banning something, you're not a conservative. That's not a conservative action. I mean, so yeah, he's not a real Republican. Any advice for that's painful? I don't know. Ugh, I couldn't even imagine. It says you've been calling out government officials on IG and Twitter. All of a sudden, I've been pulled over 4 times in the last 3 weeks. You know, nurse, I don't know. I haven't been pulled over at all, and I am constantly after them. Constantly after them, and I don't get pulled over at all. I never get messed with, but I don't know. You never know, man. Could be some kind of conspiracy. Hey, Grady, Dark Side, what's up? Oh, happy birthday, dude. Happy birthday, Shane. Daft cunts. Yeah, they did. They did they went down there on. There's a meeting tomorrow. If you're in Massachusetts, there's a public hearing on it tomorrow. I think it's at 11 o'clock. I'll be interested to see. There's going to be people who are outraged, and they have a right to be. They have a right to be. I'll tell you who'll be there, though. PAVE will be there. Tobacco-free kids will be there. So just wait. Much love, man. Thank you, Shane. Yeah, it's not part. I don't know what else to say about it other than it's just not the American way. And they legalized marijuana for 21 and up. It's recreational in Massachusetts, and I with my history of alcoholism and the way that I think about addiction and things like that, I actually applaud them for that. I think that marijuana is a much less addictive substance than nicotine or alcohol, and that recreationally, if used responsibly by adults, that it could probably help curb the amount of alcohol that is used, and I think that that's a good thing. And just on that fact alone, I don't know. I don't use marijuana. I'm not saying I'm against it or I wouldn't use it. I just don't. I'm not really in that place in my recovery yet where I think I'd be comfortable doing that. I've eaten an edible and done that, but I'm not really big on marijuana. But at the same time, I think that it is within an adult's rights. If used responsibly, don't drive on it. The basic stuff. Don't operate heavy machinery. Don't do anything stupid while on it. But if you're using it in the comfort of your own home, I don't see what the big deal is. I hope so, Phil. I hope they pack the place tomorrow. Forehead alert. Got my hair cut. I like that. Comb over is still in effect. Police are running call to call in most departments. They don't have time to mess with somebody vaping unless you fail the attitude test. And that's the truth, Patrick. If you fail the attitude test, it's all going to happen, right? I mean, the whole thing about law enforcement is use common sense, is be respectful. You can stand up for your rights, but be respectful. And, if they ask you to do something, just do it. You know what I mean? I mean, to an extent, obviously, but I think that, being a dick is definitely not going to help you. And they have the right to detain you, and I don't want to be detained. And, yeah, just, the attitude test is huge. I got all sorts of time. I'm here to save lives. I'll send you all the beer. Now, only once or twice a show. So it doesn't freeze as much. I don't know. My connection looks good, but my software freezes. It does. I see it freeze. So I know it's doing it. Oh, what New York's doing their vote? The New York Attorney General is suing Juul. You see that fucking idiot? She looked like a fucking idiot up there. God damn it. Just sit up there like an elitist, like she had all the answers. I can't stand people like that. I really can't. So I'm not going to do any giveaways, guys. Sorry about that. I'm not going to be here this weekend. I've got one for Mr. Pebble. If you're watching, buddy, I will have that out to you next week because I won't be here this week. See, I already sent Big G's out. I got Turbo for Mr. Pebble. All right, what time is it? 5:52. All right, I am going to get ready for dinner. I appreciate everybody tuning in today. All I can say to you is get on Twitter and make your voice heard. Try to spread as much information as you can around about the Massachusetts ban. Let's get as many people interested in it as we possibly can, and hopefully somebody will, people will start standing up and letting them know for sure. If you read any of these posts that the people who are congratulating them for doing it, like every single comment is us telling them that they are stupid, basically, that they're wrong. Hey, Charlie, what's up, man? You too, sick boy. It's I agree. I think that marijuana use is up to the individual. Absolutely. What up, Dustin? How you doing, man? Good to see you, brother. No chicken. I had chicken wings for lunch today. So no chicken wings. I think we're having something. There's some hamburger in the sink. think we're having hamburger something. Absolutely. Yeah, we're going over the whole Massachusetts ban, Charlie. Just fuck it. I don't even know what to say about it. I'm appalled. I heard Greg Conley's going to be there. Thank God. Thank God he's going to be there. I mean, literally, I can't think of anybody else better to have than him to fight for us. And he doesn't get intimidated. He's going to be in front of the president. That's crazy. Could you imagine being in front of, unless you're like I don't know, on The Apprentice? It's kind of like being on The Apprentice. What if they do if that's how he does it? Like you walk into a room, it's a big long table. You like have to sit, you have to pick a seat at the table. It's like him and his daughter and his son. They're all sitting there looking at you. You're like, am I on The fucking Apprentice? Holy shit. I'm going to get fired. I'm not even work for you. Yeah, Greg Conley's fantastic. And he's not, like, he doesn't let people bully him on those shows either. He stands up to them immediately and just drops facts. And they're just like shut up quickly. Tony is from the VTA, right? Tony's the president of the VTA, the Vapors Trade Association. That's a great guy to have there. And the reason being is that he's going to talk about all the small businesses. Craig, you're fired. I'm not president. Am I president? All right, guys, I will see you guys, I guess, Monday. Monday, we'll be back with a Vape at 5. We got Crazy Coils 1200 will be our featured builder, and we'll do a giveaway. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you guys in some chats tonight. Probably not this weekend, though, because I'll be going. See ya. Have a fantastic night. We will talk to you on Monday.